The show opens up with the introduction of a young woman named Min-Neo, a college student living on her own. At first, we see Min, short for Min-Neo, dreaming about her crush who is just about to kiss her. Suddenly, this intimate moment is interrupted by a strange shouting voice, which wakes her up. It turns out she hasn't paid her rent, so the landlady is at the door, yelling to get her dues. With no money on hand, Min settles the rent by paying it with a couple sacks of rice. The landlady accepts the trade for the month. However, she warns that from now on, she will only accept cash. In the next scene, we learn a little bit more about our main heroine. Min works part-time at a cafe to pay her bills. She has never dated anyone, rather, she is a misfit and a loner. She longs to have a boyfriend, but knows nothing about getting one. She has a crush on a good-looking guy named Kong Jun, who often eats lunch at the cafe. Every day, Min excitedly waits for Kong to arrive and longs to make a move on him. One morning, Min decides that today is the day she is going to confess her feelings. After putting on a pretty dress, she heads to the cafe and waits for Kong as always. Just as she expected, Kong arrives at his usual time for lunch. Min tries to flirt with him, but without any success. Another part-time worker named Minori also tries to get Kong to notice her, but he doesn't express any interest in her either. While Kong is busy with his lunch, Min describes to us her crush's perfect face, body, and sweet personality. However, things get awkward when Min tries to wink at him, but he doesn't respond at all. Later that evening, Min gets upset because she couldn't grab Kong's attention. To make matters worse, she sees Minori and her boyfriend spending quality time together, which only lowers Min's self-esteem. Outside of the cafe stands a giant cardboard cutout of K-pop idol Cha Eun-woo, who is from a band named Astro. Apparently, the cafe owner is a huge fan. The depressed Min gets drunk and brings the cutout of Eun-woo to her apartment. At first, she uses it as a weird dance partner to wash her pain away. Later, as she cries herself to sleep, a single tear drops on the Eun-woo cutout, and this is where the magic begins. The following morning, it is discovered that the real Eun-woo has magically emerged from the cutout. When he comes out of the cutout, it is only plain white. His image is gone for the moment. When Min wakes up, she sees Eun-woo in her kitchen making some porridge for himself. Terrified, she screams at the top of her lungs, but he doesn't even blink. Instead, he tries to lecture her about her poor lifestyle and diet. Just as she is about to get back to him, Eun-woo disappears. Min then explains the weird situation to the landlady. She even tells her about the porridge which can be seen brewing in the kitchen. Following this, the two check the CCTV footage from the other night. Surprisingly, the video only shows a drunk Min dragging the cardboard cutout of Eun-woo and dancing with it. After seeing the footage, the landlady is convinced that Min is still drunk and making things up. She then leaves the apartment, but not before advising Min to clean out the garbage. After that, Min begins questioning her sanity, but she is sure she didn't cook the porridge, so someone must have visited her that morning. To get back at the intruder, Min sets up a trap and waits for the culprit with a baseball bat in her hand. However, our poor heroine quickly falls asleep and doesn't notice when the real-life Eun-woo walks in out of nowhere. He clears away the tacks on the floor, which were supposed to be a trap. When Min wakes up, she is once again shocked by the appearance of Eun-woo. As for the mystery boy, he doesn't seem concerned that he emerged from a cardboard cutout. Apparently, he thinks it's all a dream. Min comes closer and examines Eun-woo and realizes he is a real person. This causes her to panic and she screams and runs away from her apartment. Later that day at the cafe, Min's boss wonders who took the cardboard cutout of his idol. Meanwhile, we see Eun-woo sitting with customers. Apparently, Min is the only one who can see him. So when she is serving food to her crush Kong at his usual time, she bumps into Eun-woo. They get into a friendly tussle, causing the food to splash all over Kong. The scene then cuts to later that evening. Min is seen in her apartment deeply pondering the recent developments in her life. Meanwhile, Eun-woo is quietly cooking beef soup in the kitchen. Suddenly, a thought strikes her mind, and Min gets the cardboard cutout. We then see that the cutout is now just a plain white silhouette of Eun-woo. She threatens to cut the board with scissors, and seeing this, Eun-woo becomes concerned. He begs her not to do so as he might disappear if she cuts the board. Furthermore, he promises he will teach her to win Kong's heart in exchange for his freedom. Although hesitant at first, when he doesn't stop pleading, Min agrees. The following day, Eun-woo and Min hang out on a playground where the K-pop star advises her to play hard to get. He teaches her how to act and what to say in order to grab her crush's attention. Min takes this lesson to heart and implements it later at work. To her delight, Kong finally notices her and calls her pretty. Min is over the moon when she hears her longtime crush calling her pretty. She begins to daydream about a romantic date with Kong. She continues to do so even at home. Meanwhile, Eun-woo tries to ask her about dinner, but she tells him to go ahead without her. Next, Eun-woo goes to the kitchen and gears himself up. Turns out he is a very good cook, so he makes some aromatic dinner and sets the table to enjoy it. Min, on the other hand, is awakened from her daydreaming when she gets a whiff of Eun-woo's dinner, so she hurries to the kitchen table. She then grabs Eun-woo's food and chomps it down. After the tasty meal, the two plan their next step to win over Kong's heart. The following day, they decide to visit the basketball court where Kong often practices. Eun-woo has been pretending to read Kong's favorite book, and this trick works like a charm. Kong soon notices her and asks about the book. Min lies that she loves the writer and the book as well. Unexpectedly, Kong asks her on a date to the Han River. The latter is elated that her wish is finally coming true, so she immediately accepts his offer. As soon as Min reaches home that night, she rummages through her closet to find the perfect dress for the date. She is nervous as she has never been on a date before. This is when Eun-woo jumps in and teaches her how to act and to get close to Kong. He even teaches her how to slowly approach her crush and seize the moment. The following day, Min gets ready for her date and waves goodbye to Eun-woo. However, nothing happens as she expected. When Min is picked up by Kong, she sees her co-worker Minori in the front seat. Turns out, Kong invited Min so that his first date with Minori wouldn't be awkward. In the next scene, Min watches the couple having the time of their life while she remains miserable, questioning her worth. At one point, she even thinks of beating the crap out of them, but she doesn't have the guts to do it. Later, she returns home and weeps bitterly in front of Eun-woo. To help console her, our handsome K-pop idol cooks an amazing dinner for Min, which of course makes her feel better. While they are eating, Min gets something in her mouth and Eun-woo suddenly has the urge to kiss her. He goes for it, and surprisingly, Min doesn't mind. They then spend the night together chatting about things they love until Min falls asleep and Eun-woo tucks her into bed. The following day, the couple goes to a nearby park where Eun-woo teaches Min to ride a bicycle, which she has been meaning to learn to do for ages. Afterward, Min goes to work, but she can't stop thinking about the recent development in her love life. Meanwhile, we find out that Kong is a womanizer and he has already begun to ignore Minori's texts and calls. He arrives at the cafe and sets his eyes on Min, but her interest in Kong has changed. One day, the two go to a park again and lay down on the grass to soak up the sunshine. They are just about to kiss when Min's stomach starts to growl, interrupting their sweet moment. She then goes to get some snacks while Eun-woo waits for her. Meanwhile, Min's landlady is at the back door trying to give her this month's rent notice. Unfortunately, she notices the white cardboard cutout and thinks it's just garbage taking up space for no good reason. Therefore, she abruptly tears it in two. Back in the park, Eun-woo begins disappearing on the grass. When Min comes back, he's totally gone. Anxious and concerned, she starts frantically searching for him. Later that evening, when she returns home, she doesn't see the white cardboard cutout. Min instinctively runs to the dumpster to look for it. Unfortunately, she finds it in pieces and realizes Eun-woo is gone forever. Devastated, she starts crying helplessly. The following day, Min gathers some courage and goes to the park. She rides her bicycle just like Eun-woo taught her and reminisces about the time they spent together. Returning to her apartment, she misses Eun-woo and his delicious cooking. When she goes to the kitchen, she finds some notes by Eun-woo encouraging her to eat healthy food. Additionally, there are also handwritten recipes and directions for her that are taped to the items inside her kitchen cabinets. After a few weeks, Kong, the guy frequenting the cafe whom Min was originally interested in, asks her out. However, realizing that Kong is just another womanizer who broke her co-worker's heart, Min rejects him, saying that she is in love with somebody else. The movie jumps 2 months later, and Min is talking with her father on the phone. Suddenly, a commotion on the street causes her to spot the real idol Eun-woo emerging from a building surrounded by screaming fans. They exchange a glance, but Eun-woo walks away without saying anything to her. Min realizes that he couldn't possibly know her because he isn't the same guy. As she walks away from the crowd, someone suddenly taps her on the shoulder from behind. Shockingly, it is the real Eun-woo asking Min if she knows him. The latter is completely dumbfounded and she doesn't know how to react. Meanwhile, we see Eun-woo's bandmates across the road. One of them asks who Min is, and the other replies that she is the one Eun-woo has been dreaming about every day for the last month. The movie ends in a flashback where we see the real Eun-woo waking up from his dream and blushing at the fact that he too had his first kiss. In his dream, we see the same scene where Eun-woo kisses Min while they are having dinner.